All right, hey guys, morning, good afternoon, whenever this video actually gets posted. There are a few things that I want to talk to you guys today about. Two things. First thing is everything that's going on with the stock market. Okay, so they're saying it's a recession that's going to happen. They're blaming Trump for this. Oh, it's because of the tariffs. It's all this stuff. People are concerned about the tariffs and all the rest of it. And then, of course, the situation with Canada. So, first things first, let's talk about what's going on with this potential recession. We have, if you're a conservative, we're saying that this is a recession that started during the Biden economy. And let me tell you why that's true. I said this last year, that because of what was going on with the central bank here in the United States, because of what was going on with the Federal Reserve, that do not be surprised that if during the Trump days you see something going off with the stock market, that this is intentional, that nothing that the Federal Reserve does, nothing the central bankers do is because they're actually trying to be helpful. I have a big issue with central bankers. When you look at the history of this country and other countries with central bankers, there's always a problem. Every economic crisis that any country goes through really is not an accident. From the Depression to the 2008 recession to a possible recession that may take place during the Trump era, only being the case because of what happened last year with the interest rates, what the Federal Reserve is doing, them trying to stop inflation with all the nonstop printing. This was part of the problem. And so I have this big issue with the central bankers. I told you guys last year this was going to happen. And now that I'm seeing it happen and I see all the Democrats freaking out, oh, it's Trump's fault, it's Trump's fault. I'm like, do you really expect the American people to be this stupid that we don't know what's going on, that we don't know that this whole thing started during the Biden era? We all know that gas went up during Biden days. We all know that groceries went up during the Biden days. Trump's only been there for almost 2 months, and we're sitting here saying that it's possible that it's his fault. How dumb do you think we are? I mean, really, come on, I'm gonna need y'all. And if you are the person who's out here thinking that this is Trump's fault, then, we have to go down some of the decisions that were made last administration, right? With the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS Act, where they weren't saving money to invest into these things, or they were finding where money could be used, reallocated in order to invest into these things. No, they just kept on printing money. Whereas you look at what's happening with the Doge department, what you're seeing with what's happening with the Trump administration, they're actually finding money. They're pulling money out of fraudulent spaces and putting it into places where it should go, where it should have been going all along. That's how we're trying to build a foundation for the future. You looked at his interview that he had with Maria of Fox Business, and she brought up the fact that in his congressional address, when he was speaking to Congress and to the American people, that there were going to be some confrontations, that we were going to see some, difficulties in our economy, because he's trying to build a sturdy foundation where other countries don't take us for granted and don't take advantage of us. Like, this makes sense. And that if this is what we're calling, if we're calling this a tariff war, then that means there are going to be some losses and there's going to be some suffering. And we saw this during the Biden days, only the suffering just lasted forever, and it wasn't about actually putting us in the best situation. It was just about enriching the politician, because that's why they're so upset when it comes to Doge. That's why they're so upset. That's really all this is, right? That's why they're so eager to keep the slave class, which are the illegals, because they know that they'll keep them in power as long as they keep making money, keep giving them free stuff. Then they'll have the voting class voting for them and keeping them in power. So that way they can do whatever they want, constantly printing money, hurting the buying power of our dollar, making sure that we continue to struggle while they give freebies to these damned illegals. That was the whole idea there. Last year, just before, it was either just a little before the election or just after the election. I think it was a little after the election. The Federal Reserve did something with the interest rates, and they said, oh no, this is going to help with inflation, when it's like, no, I call this. No, this is, them manipulating the situation so that when Trump gets into office, I don't know how much sooner or later, but chances are it's not going to be a whole year after the fact. It's going to be a few months into the Trump administration where you're going to start to see something happen. And that's exactly what happened, right? They did what they did last year, and now we're seeing the effects of that. And as far as the tariffs go, you guys, if we're going to see some suffering, which we've already been seeing, I don't see prices going up anymore, but I do see prices fluctuating, not going up, but going between what they were down to a little bit. So, for example, I saw gas go from, $2.99 to $2.97. There was one that said $3.09 to about $2.96, I believe is what I saw, and it fluctuates between those prices. And it's the same thing with my groceries. I'm seeing that fluctuation there. So I think we're going to continue to see that for a bit, but that's kind of the situation there. Now, as it relates to the economy and the stock market, Trump said that's not what you have to look at to determine if we're building a sturdy foundation. And really all you can do is give it time and see what happens, right? Like, that's really all we can do. I have full confidence in his brain, in his intellect as a businessman to get things done, especially when you have his first term as president. He did pretty well before COVID, and so I have full confidence in this administration to see something happen with our economy. I do see that. Now, that takes care of that part of the topic. We are going to take a little deeper dive into what's going on with the economy in other episodes, but I just wanted to make that statement. Okay, none of this was shocking to me when I saw what happened with the stock market recently. When I saw that happen, I said, "Well, I knew this was going to happen." Like when you know things are going to happen because you know who your enemy is, when you know the opposition well enough to know to see how you're going to be affected by this, then how when the effect actually happens, you're not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. This is what happened with the stock market, like at all. I'm not surprised by any of this, especially when you're seeing the tariff conflicts with other countries. I wasn't surprised at all. China isn't happy. Canada isn't happy. You see all these Democrats losing their mind. Oh, I'm supporting Canada, Jasmine Crockett says. I'm supporting Canada and Mexico, which is weird. Yeah, actually, it is weird. You should be wanting to advocate for the United States. You should be wanting for the United States to not be continuously taken advantage of. But she can't do that. No, she wants to dance to Kendrick Lamar in the congressional offices. That's what she wants to do. She wants to be ratchet or pretend to be ratchet, pretend to be ghetto. That's what she wants to do. Okay, keep her clout up, be worth millions of dollars, not actually do what's best for her constituency. Like that's what you're dealing with when it comes to the Democrats. Okay, they're not interested in going through conflict to strengthen our position. Okay, they're interested in going through conflict so they can enrich themselves while they keep the rest of us struggling. Like that's the idea. Now that takes care of that part. Now let's talk about Canada because the new prime minister after Trudeau is gone is going to be a central banker. Like when I saw that, it's like, right, so Canada has elected a central banker to lead their country. Like that country don't got enough problems. Now you have a central banker running your country. And I'm not the only one who's losing my mind over this. Like there are Democrats that were in the comment sections on that announcement that were like, really, a central banker? Like we don't have issues with bankers and you think your country's going to be better off? You'd be better off if you just became the 51st state. It's like you'd be much better off. You're going to have mad problems because you elected a central banker. I read in one of the articles, I believe it was the Washington Post, that said that because of the back and forth and the conflict with here in the United States, this gave like a jump start to the Libertarian Party in the country of Canada. That because they're in favor of nationalism and putting their country first. And it's like, oh, you believe in putting your country first, huh? You believe making sure that your citizens have what they need, huh? You believe in the same things that the American people believe. Like you actually believe that your country should come first. Your country, your countrymen should come first. That just makes sense. Right. What I'm trying to understand is why the heck do y'all think a central banker is going to be the one that does it? Central bankers are not interested in nationalism. They're not. They're interested in global economies, being friends with the world. Okay? That's what they're in favor of. You're going to put in power a central banker when their entire goal is to make every country a part of a uniparty so that way they can make decisions about the rest of our lives. That's the goal. Okay, when it comes to centralized bankers, every war, I've yet someone to try to convince me otherwise, that every war wasn't a central banker's war. Okay, I think that from the American Revolution onward, every war has been about the central bank. Benjamin Franklin said he wouldn't have gone to war with the British had it not been for the banks. So my country has its independence at the moment because we decided that the central bankers were problematic. Like, this is what it is. Our country, the United States, has a history of fighting central bankers, and Canada decided to put into office a central banker. And you think your country's going to be all right? Like, I fell off when I saw this. You say you support nationalism. You say you want to put Canadians first. You say you want to do what's best for your people, your citizens, and yet you voted for a central banker. I'm trying to understand. Why do you think that was a good idea? Like, liberals, I get liberals are supposed to be about wanting to do what's right for them and wanting to keep everything small government. They want to make everything small. They want to strengthen their freedoms and put their people first. Okay, if this is what you believe, why did you vote for a central banker? I don't understand why people think central bankers are having their best interests at heart. Like, I work in the financial sector. Okay, I sell insurance. I work as a financial coach, as a budget specialist. And I get sometimes when you're talking about the institutions of things, right? The insurance companies and the problems with the financial institutions, like we saw in 2008, like we saw last year with the Federal Reserve doing what they did to the interest rates. Like, central bankers are problematic. Sometimes the financial institutions can be problematic. And you decided to put one of these problematic people into power as a president, a version of a president, as your prime minister. You decided to do that. What sense does that make? But hey, I still think that Canada would be much better off if they just became North Montana. You should just become the 51st state, be under the protections of the United States because you'd be U.S. citizens. It's not to say that you wouldn't have issues with central bankers because, frankly, I don't think that problem's going away anytime soon. I think that's just something that we have to deal with. They've been a beast since, well, the founding of my country, which You know, people, 1776, it's over 250 years. That's 250 years. Like, yo, people, we've had issues with central bankers for centuries. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon, but you don't have to make it easy for them by making them the prime minister of your country. Like, yo, you don't have to do that. I thought that was pretty dumb. We're having issues with centralized bankers. We're having issues with globalists. We're having issues with keeping our country's identities alive. I mean, yo, when you look at that hockey game that you saw between the American USA team and the Canadian team, and they're booing the United States like there's something wrong with us putting our people first and putting our interests first. No, you should trust the person that says, I'm here to take care of me and mine, as opposed to trusting the person that says, I want to do what's right for the world. That's a big order. That's a big plate. I don't know if you're going to be able to finish that. I don't know if you're going to be able to accomplish that. And so if everybody puts their own interests first, their country's interests first, you might actually get some honest legislation, some honest alliances, honest allegiances. You might actually begin to see something that benefits everybody because everybody's putting what's best for them first. You don't get everything that you want, but you might get some of the important things. And I think that's the case, at least what it should have been with Canada. And I think that might still be the case, but I don't know how President Trump feels about them electing a central banker. I'm curious to hear what he has to think about this. Very curious, because I don't like central bankers. Like, people. I did a whole episode talking about the problems with central bank. I have a big issue with this. Our country has had a huge history, conflicts after conflict after conflict with the central bankers. Every economic crisis that this country has been in was not an accident, okay? And Canada decided to elect them as the prime minister. This is going to be interesting to see how the tariff war continues with Canada, especially now that they have a central banker in there. I think part of the reason why they might have voted for a banker is because of the tariff situation. I think that's part of it, because they want to see how a banker handles the financial conflict with the United States. And I don't think that guy's going to have the Canadians' best interest at heart. And this is just, me as an American want to put my people first. I'm still concerned for Canada because of the situation. I think you'd be better off as Americans, yo. You're better off. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. You guys, good morning. You guys have a good day. I have to go take care of some stuff. I got some policies to sell. I got meetings lined up today, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take care of that. So love you guys. I will talk to you soon. God bless and Kepla.